I was inspired today to start a video because I really hope you like my hair. It's 11 o'clock. Today is September 3rd. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. Having a really slow start today to be 11 o'clock and just not be started for the day. Yep, it's a holiday weekend, but to be honest with you, it's been a rough week. I suffer from chronic pain. I'm in chiropractic care to try to get my spine realigned and try to help with the pain and help to manage things, but it's not always easy. I'm trying to pan back so you guys can see the little birds. It's not really always easy to get a video started and share tutorials and bring people into your life when you just don't feel good and when you're just facing the obstacles of the day. But the heat broke a little bit here in New Jersey over the past couple days, and we're finally venturing back out into our beloved space, which really did suffer over the past couple weeks. This last bout of heat, it affected all the flowers on all of the plants, and we had some blooming issues. So everything really just suffered, as well as the grass. I mean, our yard does not look like this. But it's a sign of the times, everyone. We had to figure out what's more important to us as far as where we're going to dump our water. I mean, I have neighbors telling me that their water bill is $800 to water the front lawn, and I'm like, I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to water the garden and feel good about it, because there's people in certain states who have no water, they have no gardens, everything's drying up, and my heart bleeds for them. Because I come out here and I see how our garden suffered, and I can't even imagine having an absolute total loss. Nonetheless, this garden is very, very forgiving. She's giving back to us still. We have tremendous flowers still, and the vegetables are trying to come back. So I'm just going to turn the camera around and give you guys a little bit of a tour so you can see what the garden looks like as the seasons change. It's still beautiful as ever, in all of this wild state that she's in. It is by far neat and orderly right now, but when I tell you this heat just came and took a wave over this garden, I can't even believe that I'm out here actually still harvesting. And you can see the tomatoes have grown to the top of the trellis, and they are setting flowers once again and starting to bear fruit. Now, normally I am producing tomato gravy for weeks on end, and I'm just coming out here and harvesting nonstop. But this last 2-3 weeks maybe took a hold of this garden. Everything just went downhill. We got no fruit. We had troubles with stink bugs come in, totally affected our tomato harvest. So here's an example right now. Stink bugs. Stink bugs will wipe out your garden. Now I have to figure out, here's a stink bug over here, John. I don't know if you're grabbing them yet. No. But they will come and they'll just probe into your tomatoes, and then before you know it, they've got little holes in them and you lose everything. So this was so frustrating, because we normally have big giant tomatoes in August. It was over here. There it is right there. Right there. And normally we have big giant tomatoes at this time of the year, but I usually have so many tomatoes in August that are so gigantic, I'm just giving them away, and I'm like, neighbors, please take some of these tomatoes because they're going to go bad. But this year everything just stopped, and it was because of the heat. So this morning we decided to just come out and take a walk and see, how everything looked. And we started pulling the marigolds back, because even though they, have been a blessing, you can just see the marigolds everywhere behind me. They really, I think without the flowers this year, the garden would have been a completely different situation. I mean, if I thought we were struggling now, if we didn't have all these flowers back here, it would have been like, I think we would have had a total loss. We also have some biblical invasion of garden locusts. They're not just grasshoppers. These things are big gray locusts. And I did notice 2 years ago they arrived, and they were laying eggs in all different places. And I kept trying to, you know, I don't like killing things. I'll give them a chance every time to, you know, to coexist here. But what a big mistake to allow the garden locust to take over. And these cicada killers, oh my gosh, I'm gonna turn the camera around again and show you what they do. So this mound of dirt here, I don't know if you can see, there's her hole. We're literally watching them come and pull cicadas, and it's a crazy sight. We have some video I might be able to link in here of them pulling cicadas down into the dirt. And you know, this becomes disruptive because look what they're doing to my garden bed. And they make tunnels of egg cells where they're feeding their young all underground. So, you know, this is something that we're discovering as we come out. We're dealing with drought issues, we're dealing with bug issues, and in this change of season, it's just not easy. It's not easy when you come out here and you see all of your hard work is just, it's you know, it's just not always beautiful. These tomatoes don't look so bad considering what they've been through. These are Park's Whoppers, and you can see we still have babies growing, and she's setting fruit again. So this is really inspiring to me, because normally by now, the fruit that we're going to harvest at the end of October as green tomatoes is usually up there by now. So everything got stunted, which is what the heat does. It will just put everything into a complete standstill. The tomato plants can't produce their little flowers, and without the flowers, you have no fruit. So we had to wait for it to catch up, and it's trying. You can see, here's an example, that little spot right there is pest damage. So once that happens, you really aren't always going to be able to save your tomatoes. And then we have some blossom bottom rot that came on, and I don't know if it was because of blight. I think it was because of the fluctuating temperatures and just not being able to stay on top of the watering situation well enough. I don't really know, but anyway, these are the problems that we're dealing with. And you know, now's the time. We feel the change of season is here. We're coming out to clean everything up, and then we are going to get ready to start to plant everything that I started to force from seed. Now, right now I'm back here by my shishito peppers, which again, they're just absolutely beautiful. They really got stunted this year as well. So normally I have so many shishito peppers that I don't know what to do with them. And quite honestly, I did harvest a lot and I froze them because, you know, this garden's purpose was to feed us. It wasn't just to have abundance, to just have so much that I'm going to give away. We're growing it because we're feeding ourselves. And the level of work that we put into this, you know, it's not something that we're here to just waste or, you know, just let it rot on the vine because it becomes too much. I harvest these and I cook them, and if I can't cook them, I clean them and get them into the freezer. This is life-sustaining food here. This is not just a hobby. So I could have peppers growing like this every day of my life and not have too many. So I think that this year I grew 4 shishito peppers. Next year I'm going to grow 8 shishito peppers and 8 jalapenos, and do a little bit of a change with that because these are full of vitamin C. These are so good for you. So I'm going to go ahead and harvest some of these. I'm going to harvest some of my beautiful jalapenos. There are so many jalapenos hanging, if you can see them. Loving my peppers. I like to let them cork, which is, you know, getting nice and wrinkled. Pick up my little harvest here, get it into the basket. Oh, look what a blessing. Oh my goodness. So we were actually able to pull some beautiful tomatoes. So I feel so inspired right now because between the heat and not feeling good, I haven't been out here the way I normally do, and it breaks my heart because every day I stare out the window and I'm like, I want to go out to my garden and I want to go harvest. But between the heat and the bugs and everything else, It's been a hard couple weeks. Today, you know, honestly, I don't feel great. I'm struggling, I'm tired, I'm dizzy, and this heat does get the best of me, but I feel a change coming today, and it's really important to just get out here, even when you don't feel good, and just try to get something accomplished. Came out yesterday, and my beautiful bell peppers were all fainting, and I mean, I just couldn't believe it. They had just had a drink, and I don't water this every day in this season because too much water on tomatoes and peppers is just bad for them. They don't need that level of watering that like corn needs. That's an everyday thing. So once the corn came down, I stopped watering every day. Look at these beautiful peppers. I have a few in the house that I found that were already bright red and yellow, turning on their own. Really gorgeous. So this is going to be great to harvest and put in the freezer. These are the California Golden Wonder, and this is the Keystone Resistant, which has turned out to be a really good pepper. My Jimmy Nardellos didn't really take off too well this year, but I'm happy to say that I have one Jimmy Nardellos, and the beauty of that is I didn't buy the Jimmy Nardellos this year. I bought them last year, and I forgot until the last minute that I actually saved seed, and I direct sowed them. And look, this little plant here wants to give us peppers. So that's really awesome. What else is growing here? The Cubaneas are trying to take off again. Got some really beautiful red striated peppers from them this year. Let's see what we have here. There's one growing down there that changed color beautifully. So yeah, as you can see, I'm actually struggling with the marigolds this year. They grew so wild, and if you don't stay on top of this, they can just become suffocating. I mean, they took over to a point where our little walkway here were closed off. They love the heat and the sun, which is, this is actually Cosmos. Oh my goodness, how beautiful that is. But I struggle when I come out here and I have to rip it out because the season is new. I'm all over the place with this video because I'm all over the place with what I'm seeing visually. I want to harvest the peppers, but I'm looking at the tomatoes, which are a combination of healthy and sick. You can see where I didn't get out here and prune off the blight, and this tomato plant still wants to be a tomato. I mean, look at all these sets. These Borghese tomatoes make the most delicious gravy, and I'm so happy to see that it has flowers and a mix of some ripe fruit, because these little cherry tomatoes are what is getting us through right now because our slicers took such a hit this year. These tomatoes over here, which were one of the beds of the Martinos, we already started to rip out because they just stopped producing. It was very strange. Now, here's the really strange part. Look, the corn is gone, the zucchini's gone, all of the kale, all of the eggplants are ripped out. All of the petunias had to get ripped out. It's change of season, guys. This is what it looks like when you start ripping out the garden. But the beautiful thing is, this is all about to be replanted. It's so weird to come out here and be able to just walk through this part of the yard and not be in like the jungle of corn and the jungle of zucchini. We ended up getting a pretty big infestation of squash bugs after all. With the heat, they just loved it. And then we allowed the flowers to take over, and it was a detriment this year. So I want to encourage everybody to not let, if you're going to do the marigolds, don't let them get too close to your plants, because you come out one day and they've just grown crazy and then they start to suffocate your plant. So things are bouncing back nicely, like this Big Bertha pepper. You can see it's got little flowers on it. We have new peppers growing. So this is all just really encouraging, but peppers suffer from scorch. So you can see it got a little scorch on it. I'm going to try to cut that away. But, you know, it is what it is. This is the change in the season, trying to be in harmony with bugs and flowers and plants that want to grow and things that want to take over, and the balance that you have to find is just not always it's not always an easy thing to do. Here's my Kentucky Wonder pole green bean. Yesterday I pulled a pretty good amount of beans off of it. Grew this from seed. And these are actually really good green beans if you're going to try to get started on that. So I'm going to start some more green beans, I think, because they're like 55 days to maturity. And that's going to be on my list of things that I have to grow. So look, there's some Hungarian hearts that are trying to take off again. Everything just went wild. And this one eggplant here, though, oh my gosh, look, it still has flowers. This suffered so badly. It's the only eggplant that we have left. I didn't even get the chance to share with the people that I love this year because we just stopped producing. So I think I'm going to have to harvest a few of these eggplants. They're actually really gorgeous. I didn't think that we were going to get any more out of it, but this is really encouraging. Oh, look at the flowers. Really pretty. So my Roma tomatoes here, wow, again, I'm another day I'm coming out where I'm just surprised because about a week ago I was ready to rip these out. They had no flowers, they were completely spent. We had army worms, which are disgusting, and they burrow in to the tomatoes, and it's army worm season, so you have to accept when they come, and sometimes you lose your plants, but you have to hand pick them off. But I'm going to let these tomato plants live. I'm going to let them go on. I'm going to see what happens because the weather's starting to balance and I don't have to water as much. So as long as I can provide the water, they will grow until it gets too cold. But these San Marzano Roma tomatoes over here are growing also, and they actually are full of sets. So, oh gosh, I'm feeling pretty encouraged right now. I was not feeling anything when I came out here this morning, but besides just dread. You know, it's like all this work through the heat, and you start sowing seeds in the winter, and you've got your kitchen gets taken over, and all your work, you know, comes down to this, and everything's dying back, and it gets really frustrating as everything starts to change. So as we're working with the changing garden here for the summer, it's always a very sad day when we know that we're ripping stuff out. It just is. So we're going to go ahead today and start amending beds, which is going to be this area here behind me. I made a huge mistake this year of not doing cover crops on these beds because it just got so hot. So all you can think about when you're in the heat of the garden in the summer is watering and harvesting and weeding, and it's easy to forget that you have to take care of your soil because it's not just dirt. So this year we're going to make sure that, oh, and that was another thing, the cicada killers, they took over these beds. I mean, they took over everything. We must have 20 I don't know what to call them, dens, hives. They're all over all of our beds. They burrowed down. So we don't know what it's going to look like when we start turning these beds over with all the cicada killer larvae. I don't know what we're going to find. We've never seen them. So it'll be interesting. But anyway, we're going to get all these beds ready so that I can bring out all my little seedlings. And I'm going to plant lettuce today. I'm going to plant my broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, some spinach. Spinach is going to go in this bed here. All this behind me here is going to be lettuce. This is going to be carrots. And some of the broccoli and cauliflower I'm going to move to this bed back here because back there where they normally go, the cabbage loopers are back. They went away this year for some reason. We didn't have as many cabbage loopers. So now that I see that they're back, they will lay their little worms everywhere. So what a confusing day. It's, you know, it's mixed with being inspired by seeing that over the past few days the garden started to grow again. I'm inspired by knowing that we're getting ready to grow fresh, crispy lettuce again. But it's tiring, and I'm also standing here going, oh my God, I'm so tired already. But we're gonna get it done. And once everything gets planted and starts to grow, I know I'm gonna feel better about it. And I just need to maintain rest, which is a mistake that I've made over the last few weeks of like literally just burning the candle at both ends, and it totally just wiped me out. So you know, I have to maintain myself as a priority, make sure that I'm sleeping, make sure that I'm resting, making sure that I let my back and my neck rest, because this is back-breaking work. And in the beauty of everything that it is, the truth of the matter is it's exhausting. Obviously, you know, do you like my hair? It's just, you know, it is what it is when you put everything before yourself, and then you're out here and you're handling this and you're like, what's the point of worrying about fingernails and hair and everything? I'd rather make the priority my health, my nourishment, my nutrition, my food, my home, and what feeds our family. So I'm feeling really grateful that I've been able to do that in this property with this beautiful garden. So anyway, stay tuned for more videos to come about the progression of the new seedlings that we're about to plant. And as we rip things out, you'll see more quick videos on the changing seasons here in our garden and what it's going to look like as everything starts to get ripped out and replanted. So anyway, thanks for stopping in with me today here, guys. I hope you have a wonderful Labor Day weekend, and I'll see you in the next video.